Thanks for coming out in the heat. Not the coolest of places. Before we start, a couple of announcements once again for those that don't know or haven't gotten one of these flyers. The next Q&A session will be on Sunday, September 15th. If you know of people who have wanted to see it and don't know what the schedule is, we're doing another one on September 15th, and we will also be doing one that is not on the flyer on October 6th. That will be the last one we're doing so far here. So you may want to write that down. Sunday, October 6th will be the one that we'll be doing here, probably another Q&A. And then right after that, I'll be going for a week at the end of October to Crete. They're having a channeling conference in Crete. So any of you who are interested or who are going to be taking a vacation or know anyone who is taking a vacation in that area at the time and you think they might be interested in attending a European International Channeling Conference in Crete, you can pick up one of these flyers on the back desk over there and let them know about it or know about it yourself. So those are both available on the tables over there if you want that information. Also, if you didn't notice when you came in, although it looks pretty full, I guess most of you noticed, that the way to ask a question in these Q&As is to write your name on a slip of paper and put it in the basket back there. Then Erica will draw the names out and announce them. So if that's something that you haven't done that you still want to do, I think there's just enough time to get your name in the basket over there. Once we start and your name is called out to ask a question, then please come up and sit in the chairs over here, because you'll be coming up to this microphone, and that way we can prevent lag time in between the questions if you're already lined up over here. But Erica will be calling those names out in a minute. I've also had a request just to sort of make an announcement. Elizabeth, where are you? Oh, okay. She had just come up with a suggestion that she would like anyone who is interested in forming, I guess, just some sort of an informal group of friends from people out of these sessions who want to get together either after sessions or at some other time to go ahead and contact Elizabeth over here either during the break or at the end of the session because she's interested in just sort of learning who more of you are, instead of everyone just sort of disappearing at the end of the session. She feels that this is a special group of people, and I agree. And she wants to see if she can make some friends and gather some groups together to see if you have other things in common. So if you're interested in making new friends and putting a new group together to meet somewhere, then please see Elizabeth. You want to raise your hand again there just so everyone sees where you are. And you can see her and talk about that. We all set?
Yeah.
Thank you very much for coming. Also, just to let you know, if you're interested in tapes of this session or any other sessions that we've done for the last 8 years, you can see Steve Myers at the break or at the end of the session today, and you can get he can make you copies of the tapes either from today or from any other session. And he also has tape lists set up on the desks back there. Did you find out which one it was, Erica? It was David. The other David. Okay. All right, all of you please have a good time today, and I'll see you at the break.
All right, I'll say good day to you this day of your time. How are you? Allow us to begin this interaction by entitling this session, Tipping the Scales. Let us discuss briefly the notion. Now, as we perceive your collective energy as a world, and as the collective energy of nations upon your world begins to shift, we would like to address our perception of exactly what direction some of these shifts are now moving in. Because many of them, over the last few months of your time, have become quite a bit more, shall we say, concrete, quite a bit more established in their momentum. And the patterns are a little bit easier for us to perceive at this time as an overview of where your world is heading and exactly the timing it is utilizing and creating in order to create the changes that will be taking place within your society structure. Particularly because of the recent event that took place in your Soviet Union, you will find that much acceleration and much strengthening has taken place that makes it much more likely for certain kinds of changes to occur now upon your planet, more accelerations in various ways. Therefore, we can say at this time that it is our perception that particularly between your years of 1993 to 1997, you will begin to see a complete restructuring of many of the old institutions or methods of doing things within your industry, your educational systems, your social, political, and economic counterparts. Not that these things have not been changing slowly, but you will now find that you have, in many ways, tipped the scales so that changes can occur more rapidly. Who among you would have thought 1 year ago that the change that took place in your Soviet Union could have taken place in only 3 days? Now you will begin to understand the degree of acceleration that is really occurring upon your planet and begin to use this and other things that will occur in the very near future as examples, as symbols to show you how rapidly you can change your world. It will now be necessary for a very similar kind of change as to the kind of change that took place in your Soviet Union to take place in your United States of America to achieve a certain balance in your political structures. And this change in your United States of America can occur before your 1997 and will be its own version of the concept of your people taking back their own self-empowerment. Not taking power away from the people that are in your government, but allowing power to be understood as an equalization, that everyone can gain their own self-empowerment, that everyone can balance the system out and perpetuate and benefit every single member of your society in positive ways. This will take a great restructuring, and you may see many ups and downs, many shake-ups, many collapses between 1993 and 1997, but do understand that these collapses, so to speak, do not mean that the foundations themselves have been undermined. It means that you have set up new foundations, that you really have begun to lay the true foundations that will allow the old systems to break apart, so that when they do, you can be there, ready and willing with new systems to take their place, to shore it up, build it up from the beginning again, but not to have to take the amount of time that it would have had to take in past. Now you can do this relatively rapidly, for you are learning how to access information in new ways. You are learning how to communicate with each other in new ways, and learning how to create new things very rapidly, very quickly, because now you are allowing yourselves to open your eyes to what really needs to be done, and more importantly, you are doing it. Not just talking about it, but you are beginning to do it. You are beginning to see examples that you have actually made changes in your foundational belief systems. And thus things are much clearer and more accelerated than they have ever been before. You will see many astonishing changes in that time span that we have outlined, so that in 1997, you will have created enough of a momentum so that almost every single one of the old systems that attempts to hang on to the old methodologies will no longer be able to do so. And in that year, you will see the great collapse of many old-style political systems, which will then be replaced by new ones. So that between your 1997 and your year of 2011, 2013, you can be working together with a clear global purpose to laying the foundations for a unified system that will allow every individual to really live up to their full creative potential. You will not establish every single aspect of it within that time frame, but you will lay the foundations that will allow it to occur over the course of the beginning of your new century. We thank you for having taken the steps that you have taken to make such things possible. And in seeing events happen in your planet as quickly as they happen in your Soviet Union, this can be the barometer to let you know that you really have had an effect, that you really have made changes, and that you really are becoming a very different society, and that you really have upgraded your frequency and your vibration so that much more is now possible upon your planet. No longer do you have to listen to the ideas of this can't be done, this can't happen. You now really have seen miracles occur In areas that you have thought were locked in stone, you have really begun to change, and we congratulate you and your activities upon this endeavor, because it brings us closer to you and you closer to us day by day, much more quickly, and we are so very eager to play with all of you as equals. We thank you for the opportunity to have recognized this acceleration in your society, and in return for this gift, this day, I ask you now, in what way may we be of service to you?
Hi, Bashar. How you doing?
And to you, good day. Perfect, thank you. How are you?
As usual.
All
Perfect,
right.
I hope. I'd like to share something with you. My cousin sent me a pamphlet of some information, and he asked me to take a look at it and see what I thought, so I thought I'd bounce something off of you.
All right, before you begin, can you all hear this individual adequately?
No.
Speak up,
Stand up
please.
closer?
Yes.
Okay. How's that? Okay, it has to do with a social theorist. His name is James, and it talks about the origin of consciousness.
Origin of consciousness.
Now, he discusses a theory that ancient people, let me quote for a second, like any other animal, had no concept of guilt, deception, evil, justice, philosophy, history, or the future. They could not introspect and had no internal idea of themselves. They had no subjective sense of time or space and had no memories as we know them. They were unconscious and innocent. The development of human consciousness began about 3,000 years ago when the automatic bicameral mind began breaking down under the mounting stresses of its inadequacy to find workable solutions in increasingly complex societies. The hallucinated voices became more and more confused, contradictory, and destructive. Man was forced to invent and develop consciousness in order to survive, as his hallucinating voices no longer provided adequate guidance for survival. So today, after 3,000 years, most people retain remnants of the bicameral guidance system in the form of mysticism and the desire for external authority.
May I ask you a question?
Yes.
Is this individual actually referring to consciousness or conscience?
Well, he refers to it as consciousness. And I take issue with this invention idea, and I thought I'd bounce it off of you.
Thank you. It is our perception, first of all, that consciousness has always existed and always will. Its infusion into human form upon your planet and expression as the human form of consciousness does have a history in time and space, so to speak. First of all, much longer ago than that individual is intimating. Thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago was this form of consciousness you recognize today as your own form of physical consciousness exemplified and expressed in physical reality, in Earth terms, in human terms. The idea, however, is that tens of thousands of years ago, there was not the expression of consciousness that created the reflections called guilt and many of the negative expressions that you now understand to be expressed by your consciousness. This part is true. The idea, however, is that this bifurcation, this introspection in a negative sense, did take place because of certain disconnections of consciousness to its natural state, to its connection of all that is, creating feedback loops that created artificial scenarios that this person is referring to as this so-called bicameral mind. This general process did take place because of a disconnection from the natural state, but it did not create consciousness. Remember that consciousness created physical reality.
Then in our current Western civilization, then there was a period of time when we did not have consciousness as it is in its current form?
Correct.
Yeah.
You expressed consciousness more as a total knowingness. There was not so much of the segregation or compartmentalization of self-reflectivity, especially on the negative side, that is existing now in your society. It was more of a holistic recognition approach, much more natural and much more similar to what you would understand to be animal consciousness, but at no time was it ever not self-aware.
Mm-hmm. Is there anything extraterrestrial in influence that regards this influx of consciousness?
To some degree, yes. There have been infusions and alterations that have occurred from time to time, depending upon the degree of segregation that your society had already created, and therefore the degree and type of interaction that made it necessary to create in your society to allow you the opportunity to rediscover yourselves once again.
Mm-hmm.
But we only provided the opportunity. We did not necessarily actually give you the means by which to rediscover your connection to nature.
Is your current involvement with our civilization maybe the next boost in that area?
In a sense, although again remember, You will provide the boost. We simply supply the means to create that boost.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Next sharing.
Hi, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
You've been a very good friend to me, and you continue to be, and I thank you for that.
We thank you for your friendship as well.
I feel I'm ready to know more about what occurred on the night of May 23rd and the early morning hours.
Your little visitation?
Yes.
All right. What do you wish to know?
I would like to know the part that I forgot.
One moment. All right. I can tell you some of what you were told. One moment. You were given information on certain kinds of connections that you have with your son. You must recognize that your son is very strongly connected to the concept that we have talked about before, that is known as the Arcturus gate. You understand?
Yes.
Where there is a realignment of consciousness before it is incarnated upon your planet again, so that it will forget less and less and less of its connection to all that is. You were told of some of the agreements and connections between yourself and your son in terms of the timing of your life, what you have shared with him, what you have provided to him as an opportunity to learn about himself. It was explained and shown to you some of the patterns of the agreements that you have between you. Now I will ask you a question before I go on.
Okay.
How is your own path doing with regard to your own passion?
It's not doing as well as I would like.
All right. In what way would you like it to expand, specifically?
I would like to practice spiritual healing.
In what way? In what format?
I feel I've been guided a lot in the direction that Joel Goldsmith wrote about in his books through prayer, through communion with all that is, and seeing people as they truly are, knowing the truth about people and situations, and therefore creating healing, rather than getting caught up in appearances.
And what, in your estimation, prevents you from seeing people as they naturally are?
Because I'm not seeing myself as I naturally am.
All right. And in what way can you see yourself? Can you allow yourself to be more natural? What can you forgive within yourself to allow you to exist in your natural state? What do you assume needs forgiving?
I don't know. That's not coming to me.
All right. This is some of what was discussed in that visitation. What it is that you need or believe needs forgiving within you. Now, what kind of guilt might you have about your son and or his present situation relative to you?
Well, that was another one of my questions. I wanted to know how I could be a better guide for Nathan. I feel like I've messed things up for him.
You have not really. Understand that the breaking, as we have already discussed with him, of his middle finger on the left hand provides him in the future with a more sensitive antenna to receiving information, distilling that information, and determining what information is actually more appropriate for him. So in this case, the correct question is, how can my son be a better guide for me?
I see.
You understand?
Yes.
You can learn from him if you talk with him and dialogue with him about his ability to be sensitive to what information is truly applicable to him in his life, rather than what information you have been taught to teach him is applicable in his life. You may gain some insight as to the degree of sensitivity he has at discerning what is true, and this may help you discern what is true in other individuals. And at the same time, you can relax about the situation that you have co-created with him in terms of your family situation. Because again, the idea is to begin to trust that the timing really does have relevance, really does teach you what you need to know, and that you can relax about the idea of communicating to all individuals involved in this situation or scenario that you have created, and to trust that what it is you really need to say and what it is you really need to communicate from your heart and what it is that really pertains to what gives you passion will always be able to be accommodated in any situation in which you are being true to yourself and allowing others to be true to themselves as well. For if everyone in a situation is being allowed to be true to themselves, then everything that they truly want in their heart of hearts will mesh and synchronize with everything else everyone else wants. The only time there is conflict is when you place the masks of assumed personas upon yourself that you think you have to play a certain role in order to get something done. But when you go back to your true self, you will understand that the conflict will dissolve. You follow along?
Yes, I'm getting that on other levels in meditation. I understand what you're saying.
All right. Now, you can accelerate this process by already allowing yourself to practice the forms of healing that you say entice you and interest you. Can you allow yourself already to practice these forms of healing as are shown to you in your vision?
Yes, I think I can.
Can you define or describe one scenario that would be representative of the type of healing that you would find very exciting to do?
If somebody should come into my realm of consciousness stating that they have a disease of some form,
Okay.
or a problem,
Okay.
instead of falling into, oh yes, that's really too bad, I'm very sorry,
Okay.
seeing them as the light that they are,
All
and
right.
reflecting that back to them.
In what way? By enticing them to explore in their imagination alternatives is one way.
Yes.
By luring them into their own child and allowing them to recreate their childhood as they desire to is another way. And this is something that you can learn from your child as well. You can learn much from him in terms of methodology and approach to the idea of helping other individuals rediscover their own child. Learn from him. Let him be the guide that he is. And it will serve to accelerate you in this direction that you say gives you passion. You understand?
Yes.
And of course, above and beyond all, if you say this gives you passion, then feel the passion when you talk about it. Convince me that you're passionate about it.
I had that message this morning.
Thank you. Anything else?
Well, I still feel a little stuck on how to make this transformation. This seems to be a life problem for me, something that I've been working on for quite a few years. Feeling that I need to be, I think you touched on this, feeling that I need to be the one that takes care of everyone financially, so I therefore can't take chances.
But you don't, and you're not taking a chance. By being yourself, you're creating the strongest, stable situation you possibly can create. You understand?
Yes.
You must trust the whole situation. The whole situation. Now do me a favor, if you will.
Okay.
All right?
All right.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Promise?
Promise.
Thank you. Repeat after me. Passion.
Passion.
No,
Passion.
no. Thank you. Now, how do you feel when you say the word passion? Say it and tell me how you feel. Say passion.
Passion.
How do you feel?
It feels really good.
All right. Do you like that feeling?
Yes.
Then head in the direction of that feeling and everything will be fine. It is your beacon. It is your lighthouse. All right?
Okay.
You must relax I will give you this. When you decide to relax into a meditative state, it would be of great assistance to you to actually physically focus on a physical tetrahedral structure to do so. Thus, you will have a direct symbolic physical representation of the connection or switch or valve that you are symbolically or energetically utilizing.
Like a doorway?
Yes. So you will see the triangle that rests on the ground as the 3 points and the one at the top as the dimensional gate. And in focusing on the center of the tetrahedron, make it an open framework tetrahedron so you can see all the way through it. In focusing your attention in the center, then you will be able to utilize that. And as you move your attention, your focal point, up and down that center line within the interior of the tetrahedral structure, it will be like fine-tuning a radio bandwidth, and you will receive different forms of information depending upon where the focus of your consciousness is, all the way from the center of the ground all the way up to the apex. You follow along?
Just like a little line of energy, just like
yes.
Make my consciousness...
Focus on a point somewhere on that line. Move your attention of that point along that line up and down and see and feel the different feelings and sources of information and attitudes and vibrations and frequency changes that take place within you as you do so. Bit by bit, day by day, become more familiar with exactly how it is you are fine-tuning that system, and it will give you more precision as to tapping in what you need to tap into informationally and exactly how to ground yourself to apply that information in your physical reality. You follow along?
Beautiful. I made a copper...
Yes.
Tetrahedron, I already have it. Thank you. That's
all right.
really
well, thank you very much. Then use the device you already have.
I want to ask you about water.
What about it?
Do you have water on your planet?
Yes, quite a bit. In fact, more than you do.
Do you guys enjoy being in it every day also? Does your skin and do you still participate in playing in it or whatnot?
Oh, yes.
Well, I remember you said you're kind of going like less physical. And
we're not trying to do anything.
Well, I meant
we are becoming less
I was
physical.
aware that you were becoming less physical,
yes.
and I was just, I really
we still
love water.
play in the water, yes.
All right. Would you sing us something?
Not at this time.
Okay. I love you.
Out of love to you unconditionally as well. At this time, you may all enjoy a short break. We will resume contact in approximately 10 to 15 of your minutes of counting. How's it going?
What?
Does everybody remember the order they were called in? Do you have that list again? Well, I guess you can just stay where you are.
Say, let us continue with sharing.
Hi, Bashar. How are you?
Good day to you. Perfect, thank you. How are you?
Not quite that good.
Oh, all right.
But we're still working.
All right.
I'd like to know if you have any comments for us today on astrology. Is it in your belief system?
We recognize that the idea that astrology represents is generally accurate in the sense that you, as a non-physical being, when you choose to incorporate yourself or crystallize, or shall we say freeze yourself into physical reality, do incorporate to some degree within your structure the patterns of energy that exist at the time of your crystallization in general. Therefore, astrology can be a generally symbolic idea of the patterns that represent your agreements, your choices, your chosen paths, there can be, for an individual who allows themselves to be very strongly sensitive or intuitively tuned to those patterns, there can be the ability to glean very precise information, but it is more the ability of the individual to fine-tune their focus into the intricate patterns of the crystallized physicality of your consciousness rather than the ability of the astrological tool itself to get that detail. The astrological tool can act as a trigger, a catalyst, a guide, an amplifier, or a focuser for the individual's sensibilities at being able to perceive those detailed patterns of energy that represent the general choices and agreements that any particular individual may have frozen into their being, represented by the date of their birth. You understand?
Yeah, I believe so. In just having a natal chart done for myself, though, the problem that I have with astrology, what makes me angry about it is that they say that because of the way the planets were aligned, et cetera, at the exact time and place of your birth, that basically is your path in life.
In general.
So what I'm asking you is, they're saying, because the argument I had with the woman was, why can't I change that if I don't like it? And she said, Maureen, that's your path. I mean, there's nothing to be done.
All right, one moment. The idea, again, is that it is indicative of a general path. And by general path, what this means is this: that you have chosen to explore, in general, certain broad themes in this life. And therefore, the energies that the chart represents is those general themes. The specifics about how you go experiencing, exploring, and unfolding those themes is completely up to the free will of your physical consciousness. So while you may have a tendency to move in certain directions, what you do about that, how you go about that, how you experience it positively, negatively, generally, precisely, is up to you. So in a sense, it is a combination of both. You understand? It does not mean that when it represents your path, that means every single action and every single movement is already fixed and determined. This is not what it means. It means it is representative of general agreements that you will usually abide by. But since you can explore general themes from any number of directions, the specifics of how you do so is completely up to you. You understand?
Yes.
Does that help?
Yes, it does.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sharing.
Hi, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
I recently discussed with you the concept that I'm having difficult manifesting my screenplays into reality.
All right.
And I read The Right Use of Will, as you suggested.
All right.
I've followed the 1357 formula, as you suggested. And
all right.
I get great feedback from people, and I feel in my heart that my projects are really good.
Yes.
But I seem to be blocked in attracting people that can manifest them. And I'm wondering if you can perceive if it's something that I'm creating or if it's a timing situation or anything you might be able to give me.
All right. Now, first of all, you have already discussed and are aware of the notion that when each and every one of you pursue a vision that is truly yours, uniquely yours, then the path that will be most successful will generally be the path that allows you to retain the highest degree of control over the vision. You understand that?
Yes.
The truest representation of the vision will be the opportunities that will work for you. But at the same time, what may be lacking is that old beliefs may be creating in you certain kinds of patterns that allow you to continue to wait for opportunities to come in certain forms rather than allowing yourself to be able to see what areas you yourself could invent from scratch anew the opportunities in. In other words, it may require a little bit more boldness on your part to actually create the scenario that will help you move ahead instead of waiting for the scenario, waiting for the people. This is always an opportunity when pursuing your own vision to create the situation, to become the person, to act like the person you already want to be in the vision. You understand?
Yes.
Now, in the most fully realized version of your particular dream, what are you? How are you acting? Can you give us a brief definition of the most fully realized version of your dream?
To write, direct, and produce. But
Write, direct, and produce. All right, but what?
primarily writing and directing. But producing in the sense of packaging the people or individuals I see in my project.
All right, now why did you make a distinction with regard to the idea of being a producer?
Because the money end of it doesn't interest me.
I see. And why doesn't it?
I'm not very good with numbers in terms of excitement.
I see. So what you may be doing is assuming that because you learn to look at numbers and money in a certain way, that viewpoint, that attitude may in and of itself be creating in you an inability to see how you could learn about numbers and could learn about money in a way that's exciting, especially to you, and allow you to actually fulfill the complete function of the producer without having to learn the things you need to learn in a way that you don't want to learn them. Now, you understand the drift I am leading to.
You're saying that I should work on the producing end more,
Not should, but this is what I am saying. Many times individuals will not want themselves to pursue one particular aspect of their dream, in your case, production, because of what they have been taught to believe it must mean, and because of what they have been taught to believe they must learn, and in the way they must learn it does not seem appealing to them. And so they say, well, I'm not excited about that, therefore it must not be a part of this idea. Now, I'm not saying that it is, but I am simply saying, in your case, what you may not be understanding or seeing is that sometimes you don't feel excited about something, not because it isn't something that would be exciting, but because you are not allowing yourself to realize that there is a way in which it can be exciting. Because you think the whole area is simply not exciting to you because of the way you think you have to approach it. Because of the belief systems you have been brought up with, it may prevent you from feeling the excitement that actually could be in that area if you would but give yourself a moment to believe that there might be a way to learn those things in an exciting way.
Well, I'm already producing in the sense that I'm submitting I've already gotten one major actress to agree to star in one of my films, and I'm getting it to other entities that can make it create it in that sense.
All right.
I'm just saying that if I have a choice,
Yes.
I would prefer to be directing it and being the creative entity that pulls the emotional and narrative text of the film together rather than being more in an accounting position.
Now, we are not saying that you cannot hire an accountant.
Uh-huh.
But the idea in general is that if you are going to function as a producer on any level, then you must at least, to the fullest definition of the function, be aware of the things that really need to be done, and you must be able to discuss them from an excited point of view, even if you do not actually undertake the actual physical function of that department yourself.
Right.
But if you have a resistance to the very nature of that particular aspect of your vision, you yourself could be putting the brakes on. You understand?
Yes.
Because if there should come a time when one of those aspects needs to be done by you, you will not do it because you have a natural resistance to it based on, or shall I say a learned resistance to it, based on the belief systems you have about not wanting to fulfill that function. You must be aware of what that function is. You must be able to discuss it intelligently from an excited point of view, from the perspective that does excite you. You can't just shut the whole department off, even though you may hire someone to actually do the physical bookwork. You understand?
So if I was to put together a budget and a schedule and that sort of thing that a producer does, then you're saying that I could manifest the project, whereas because I'm not doing that, then the project won't manifest?
Well, let me put it this way. How are you going to impart to an accountant, to a bookkeeper, the general concept of what needs to be done if you haven't worked out at least the general numbers to begin with? How are they going to know what numbers to work with, what numbers to refine, what details to focus on if you don't have some sort of a guideline for them?
Well, generally there are people who make their living doing those kind of things.
Yes. Have you attracted someone like that to you?
No?
Well, then why not go talk to one of them?
Okay.
Have you done that?
No, I haven't. I suppose I've been approaching it more as a writer than I have as a producer.
All right. Stop. What we are gleaning from this conversation is that you keep bouncing around between the idea of producer, director, writer, when it serves you. If you're going to have a vision that contains all three, then what you need to do is all three in whatever way, shape, or form truly excites you. So when you say, well, no, I haven't done that because, well, then I've been acting like a writer, or no, I haven't done this because at that point I was acting like a director, or then later on I was only acting like a producer and that's why I haven't done this, then what you are simply saying is that you're actually not doing the job of any of them. So the idea is that there is something that you need to be doing as a producer, such as a producer would do. If you don't like to handle the numbers, go and find someone who does. If you haven't done that, then you're not doing the producer's job. Are you?
Right.
That's what's holding you back. You're not acting on the things that are obviously there for you to act upon. You're not doing any one of the jobs if you're not fulfilling the function of each of the jobs that it is exciting for you to fulfill. So you must get a handle on what it is that you are excited about when you are a producer, what you are excited about when you are the director, and what you are excited about when you are the writer. And when you determine what each of those things are, you must do each of the aspects you have determined are representative of those three levels, if those three levels are representative of the vision that you say you want.
That makes sense.
All right?
An unrelated question is, I have a 3-year-old nephew, and we were talking recently, and he said that he wanted to jump off of his roof because the Care Bears, which are cartoon characters, jumped off their roof, and he was a little scared to do it. And I told him that television was make-believe, and I tried to make that distinction. He got very upset. He said they're not pretend, and Alf isn't pretend, and nothing on television is pretend.
All right. What you can do is reconcile the understanding that, as we have explained, anything in your imagination is somewhere in some dimension a reality. It is not that they do not have reality. The simple distinction you need to make is that they are cartoons and he is not. You must explain to him the difference in your dimensionality, not attempt to prove to him that they are unreal, because in one sense, they are not unreal. They are real. What you must explain is the differences in your realities. You understand?
Well, when you get to a character like Alf, which isn't a cartoon, which to a child can appear very real.
Explain the difference in the reality. There is still a reality difference. It is not that it is unreal. It is simply a different reality. Explain the rules of their reality and the rules of his reality, so he can reconcile the fact that there are many different realities with different rules. Not that they are not real, because his inner sense tells him that that is not true. They are real in many ways. But you must explain the difference in the reality system so that he understands how to reconcile those differences and apply the things that pertain to his reality to himself and the things that pertain to their realities to them. But do not attempt to make them unreal.
Right.
For that is not the correct approach.
Okay.
Does that help?
And yes, very much. And a very quick question. When you tell us to wait a moment and you seem to tap into an information source,
yes.
Can you tell me what that information source is?
It will be different things at different times. Sometimes it will be other members of the Association of Worlds. Sometimes it will be a direct tie-in to the world spirit that is your collective consciousness on Earth. Sometimes it will be a direct conversation with your oversoul. Sometimes it will be a conversation with your guides. Sometimes it will be a conversation with beings from other dimensions for various reasons, because perhaps I have business elsewhere at the same time. It will be many different things.
And how do you determine what it will be? Is it just that
because it happens.
It just instantly comes forth?
Yes, it's an automatic, spontaneous thing.
Do you tap into the Akashic Records?
Sometimes.
And how are we able to tap into the Akashic Records?
How?
Are we able to?
Well, of course, and you often very do.
Is there some way to accelerate that for myself?
There are many ways. Your imagination is a direct key to tapping into what you call the Akashic Records, since it is only the collective understanding that you have created in your reality dimension universe. Use your imagination to stretch your understanding of what information is, for it isn't really anywhere else but within you. The Akashic Records is not outside of you. There is nothing outside of you. That's the first key to tapping into the Akashic Records, is recognizing that the records aren't outside of you, that you are the records. So if you become the records, you will know what they say. Can your imagination provide you with some sort of a visual meditation to allow you to become the Akashic Records?
I could visualize a computer.
All right. That will be a good analogy. What happens on the computer? Does information appear on the screen?
Yes.
So that will be one way to tap into the knowledge of the Akashic Records. There are many ways. Some individuals will see it written down in stone, on paper, glowing letters in the sky. Some people will simply know what they need to know when they need to know it. Some people will hear voices in their ears or in the middle of their head. Some people will get it through dream contact. Some people will see information spontaneously or synchronistically in their physical reality in the form of books or papers or signs. Information stored in the Akashic record collective consciousness of your fabric of existence can come to you, can be unlocked in many ways. Each and every one of you will have an individual way to tap into this idea, even though there may be ways that are generally workable for many of you. But use the way that seems to work best for you by creating the symbols out of your imagination. It is not a difficult thing to do. All it takes is being quiet and listening once you ask a question. All right?
Thank you very much, Bashar.
Maybe sometimes taking a warm shower will help you listen. Your baths and showers are very good meditation booths. Thank you very much. Next sharing.
Shivai Bashar.
And to you, good day, and Shivai.
I would like to ask you about an experience I had recently when I was doing my own spiritual practice.
All right, if you will but speak up and be bold so that all may hear.
I was in the process of using my hands and my singing to clear a path in my, what I understand to be my inner heart.
All right.
And as that process seemed to come to the place that it's completed for the moment,
Yes.
I was shown a really large diamond.
All right.
And it was cut in part of it. I don't recall if it was cut completely. And this diamond was then inserted into the center of my chest, what I understand to be where my inner heart is.
Yes.
And I wanted to understand what that is.
What it is.
And what it's for. What I feel.
Did you not just say what it is?
Well,
it's
I
the
don't
symbol
know.
of your inner heart.
Oh, okay. And
all the facets represent all the different angles, perspectives, aspects, personas that your inner heart can manifest. It is not yet complete because you have not completely reintegrated the totality of your consciousness in this life. But as you proceed in this life, you will add more and more and more facets, completing the diamond by the time of the end of your physical reality, or even much before that. The idea is simply symbolic of all the different things that you must reintegrate within yourself in order to really come from unconditional love, which is what is represented by the inner heart. It is your heart in its crystalline form, in a sense.
So does that mean that it wasn't a part of me before and now it is a part of me and it had to be put back in?
No, it was always a part of you.
Uh-huh.
You are simply now aware of it, and you are aware of how to shape it, how to facet it, how to refine it, how to create it to be whole and representative. It was simply more like clay before, malleable, shapeable. It was undefined. Now you are clarifying, crystallizing, defining your consciousness, and so, bit by bit, adding facets of clarity to the heart. You understand?
Yes, I think so.
Does this help you?
Yeah.
All right.
I would like to understand something else that's been happening to me recently. I've been becoming very, very aware of the time 11:11.
Okay. Many individuals create their own synchronicity patterns within recognition of their clocks so that they can again recognize that they have the ability to focus in on cycles that they create within themselves, to recognize patterns that they may have, either positive or negative, and to trust that their own synchronicity is in fact working for them. Very often, when individuals continue to look again and again and again at a clock and see the same time when they look, it is generally representative that synchronicity is beginning to work for you more and more and more.
Is there a specific significance to the time or to the concept of 11:11? That also
Yes.
happens to be my birthday.
It is a power number, and by the way, it's also mine.
Is it?
Yes, as we have said many times before, you will find that there is a direct succession between the channel's birthday, my birthday, and my own future self's birthday within the domain called Sirius, where the channel's birthday will be 10/12, mine is 11/11, and my future self's is 12/10.
Okay.
11/11 is also my birthday as it relates to the calendar on your planet. Happy birthday.
Same to you. Is there any...
It is a power gate number. It is a fulcrum point number. It is a balance point number between two polarities of past and future selves. It is the blending point, the doorway that swings both ways to access past and future. If you can gather yourself together within the 1111, you will be completely present. Completely present. You understand?
Yes, I felt it to be a gate, and I felt that if at that time I stated during that minute
Yes.
what it was that I wanted to become,
Yes.
that was the way of using that.
This is so. However, a more precise and powerful way to put it is that when it is that time, state what it is you are,
Okay.
as opposed to what you wish to
Right.
become.
Actually, I am doing that. I
Yes,
just said it
be
differently.
that you at that time, and you will help reinforce it, because then every time 1111 comes around, you will be that you. And it will accelerate until it leaks into the rest of your clock, and you are always that you.
And is there some reason I chose specifically to be born on the day 11/11?
Yes.
Can you tell me what it is?
Well, it is for many reasons, and has to do with many agreements and interactions with many other individuals, and even for the reason of having this conversation today. There are many pathways and many reasons and many ideas for why you chose that day, and we certainly do not have time, as you understand it, to go into all of them now. Suffice it to say, you knew your proper starting point, and you are exactly on time. All right?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Can you tell me if there's anything more I can do to help transform my physical self from the body that's had a significant amount of pain and suffering to a body that's healed and healthy and...
I am going to keep this one very simple. Again, live your passion. Be the you want to be now, and there will be no room for unbalance or dis-ease. I'm going to keep it simple for now because I do not suggest that you focus on the details, because it is the focusing on the detail that has created the diseases to begin with.
Okay.
Keep it simple. Simplify, simplify, clarify, clarify. Be the passionate you. Live your dream. That's how. All right?
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next sharing.
Good day.
And good day to you.
I'm very excited to be here and talking to you.
I am ecstatic to speak with you.
Thank you. The last person came up with one of the questions I have, which has to do with physical pain.
Yes.
I've been doing the things that excite me the most on the path of that.
Yes.
But I find that I do have a lot of physical pain.
In what way?
I prefer not to have the pain, but my body doesn't.
In what way?
Well, I have joint and muscle pain, something terrible in my neck that doesn't allow me to relax my head at night.
In what area? At the base?
Yes, into the left shoulder.
One moment. Is any of this the result of any physiological accident that you have had?
It could be, yes, possibly.
One moment. What types of assistance have you already sought for the alleviation of this pain in terms of physical therapy of any kind?
Well, I'm under the care of a chiropractor. I've done massage and also a little shin-jitsu.
Is this chronic for you? Does it go away? Does it come back? Is it perpetual?
It is, I think, more chronic. I've had I was meditating on trying to let go of the pain, but then I was in an automobile accident about 3 weeks ago, and there it was again.
One moment. What do you do now?
Well, I have. I'm an artist. I've been a dancer, and I use the arts for education and exploration for people to help in healing and
Is this
for
a
my
daily
own
thing?
healing.
Is this a daily thing?
I exercise. I try to exercise daily, and I still go to class, the modern dance class, and I paint almost, well, not every day, but I draw or do something 4 or 5 days a week.
How do you feel about the area of the world that you live in?
The area of the world?
Yes, your city.
Well, I love Los Angeles, but the smog and the traffic are getting a little too much for me.
Where would you rather be?
Well,
if you were to take a vacation, where would you go? Where would be the first place you would go if you were to take a vacation?
I don't know. I love Los Angeles, but I hate the smog and the traffic.
What
maybe
represents
mountains.
to you? What area represents to you no smog, no traffic?
Well, I have been thinking about taking a trip to the Southwest.
Why did you not answer that way then when I asked you?
Well, because I also think of the North. That popped into my mind too, the mountains in the North.
And why did you not then answer both?
Because I confused myself.
All right. No need for hesitation in that sense. If you have answers that come into your mind, answer. Do not hold them back. Do not say, I do not know, for that is not true. Just because you get 2 answers, 3 answers, 1,000,000 answers, it is not correct to say, I do not know.
Okay.
You can give them all.
Oh, good.
Now then, number 1 southwest, number 2 north, or number 1 north, number 2 southwest? Or are they equal?
Well, they're about equal, I think.
For different reasons then.
One to see the beauty, and the other to see the beauty and to find a spiritual support.
Which is which?
I guess it's all the same.
All right. One for the clarity, one for the lushness and nurturing of nature in terms of its green aspect.
Yes.
And one for the pristine crystal clarity of its environment that allows you to see so far.
Yes.
All right. When will you go to both of these places? When will you take a vacation? When will you start to relax the structures of your being? When will you give them what they need? For only in those environments do we perceive that any of the other things you're asking about in terms of physical pain will be able to be alleviated. Only in those environments will the tension relax sufficiently for you to take advantage of whatever opportunity may be attracted to you to alleviate the pain. When will you nurture and when will you allow yourself the clarity and the ability to breathe freely that you so long have desired?
As soon as possible.
And when will that be?
Maybe in November.
Why that month?
Well, there's a trip planned for me in October, the early part of October.
All right.
So maybe that will help.
Where is the trip to?
Puerto Vallarta.
All right.
That I've had some hopes that will be.
Somewhat? Some doubts?
Some hopes, I said.
Some doubts?
I had some doubts, yes.
For that is what hopes mean.
But
doubts.
I will have relaxed time.
You do not have to force yourself to relax. That is a contradiction.
Okay. That's my problem.
All right. Again, this requires being true to the self. You do need to travel. You do need to move. You need some flexibility. Start moving. Take the trips. Move. Go to different places. Do not remain fixed where you know you do not want to be. Then you will start to loosen up in many different ways. Go to the north. Go to the southwest. Go where it is you feel you are drawn. For you will nurture yourself and give yourself the support that you need. At the same time, you will attract to yourself anything that might take the form of a remedy that will help alleviate the pain. Although some of this will be alleviated just in the motion, just in the going, just in the doing, just in the adjustment of your attitude and outlook and atmosphere and surrounding environment.
Thank you.
So move, 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 move. Otherwise, you will become overly rigidized.
I'm bold in so many ways. I take risks so easily, and on the other hand, I do have the conflict of
Yes.
restriction.
Yes.
In my art, it shows, and in my dance, it shows only because then I'm followed with the pain.
All right.
But in the doing, I feel more free.
Then do. Here's a suggestion for you. Let your imagination supply you with the doing of something you have never done before. Some action, some act that is completely unlike the you think you are. Completely outside the normal realm of what you would ever do. And do it. All right?
All right?
Can you think of anything at all immediately? Something you might have seen someone else do that you yourself would never have thought to do and have never done, but could find exciting if you were someone else. Anything at all. Doesn't have to be a big thing.
Hiking in the mountains.
All right? Do that then. Go
All right.
talk to the trees. Ask them how do they stand so straight and tall without pain. Ask them if they even understand the concept. They do, but not in the way you would understand it. Discuss the differences between your understanding of pain and their understanding of pain. See it from a different point of view, and you will move your consciousness out of the center of focus of the pain that you experience. Let the trees help you. Let nature help you. It will, if you let it.
I believe that. I know that.
Then go take a hike. All right?
Thank you very much.
And of course, by all means, if you feel so inclined, do laugh along the trail.
Oh, I do.
All right.
Thank you
very much for being such a delight.
Oh, thank you.
Good day to you.
Thank you.
Next sharing.
Good afternoon, Bashar.
And good day to you.
I recently went through the School of Ministry.
School of Ministry, all right.
And became a minister for a church up in the Bay Area.
All right.
And after 14 months, I decided I didn't want to do that anymore
All right.
because of the political conflicts in the church.
All right.
And instead of candidating for another ministry, I have held out because I don't want to go through that again. And it seems to me that I know I am a minister.
All right.
And I need direction and clarity on how I am to apply that ministry, but I don't see it being within a structure.
Well, probably it is not. What is it you want to administer?
What I want to do is help with people's individual healing and empowerment.
Yes. And in what way do you imagine that this can be done?
Well, my vision is to
Yes.
establish a healing center.
Oh, well, how exciting.
Yes,
what does
it
it
is.
look like? Where is it?
Where is it?
Yes, where is it and what does it look like?
Well, I'm not exactly sure where it is, but what it looks like a light center up on top of a hill. And I can see green trees and ducks and a pond, and it has a aura around it that is very peaceful and very healing, and it's a place where people can come to find out and get clear on what their individual ministry is.
All right, and if you are going to be the producer of this healing center, of this light center, what is it you need to do? Who do you need to be talking to? What individuals do you need to attract to yourself so that you can share this vision, so that they can assist you in the creation of this vision?
I'm not clear on that.
Well, these are the things you need to do. Find out who it is you need to talk to. Share your vision.
It seems to me that in order to establish this healing center, I need to have some monetary input.
That doesn't have to happen first.
Okay. At this moment, I don't know exactly who to talk to and what that could look like. And I'm not even sure that it's here.
Are you an artist?
No.
Well, then maybe you better talk to an artist so that you can draw a picture of your vision, so that you can show it to someone who has money so they'll know what you're talking about.
That's a thought.
That's a thought.
Yes.
That's one thought.
Is there anything else that I can do?
Yes, you can go around looking for the hill that you just described. Allow yourself to be attracted to the right place so you can find out where it is.
Okay.
That's two things.
Is there a third?
There are probably many. But do you want me to do the whole thing for you?
Yes.
Why? What kind of a light center are you going to run where everything does everything
I'll
for
reflect
you?
anything you do, I promise.
Then go ahead and reflect it before I send it.
Okay. Is there anything else I need to know about this?
Yes.
What?
But you tell me what it is. I've given you two. Give me the third.
I have this feeling that
Yes,
there is
yes.
some part of this ministry that I should be doing right now, and it has to do with teaching.
Teaching what?
I don't know.
Oh, come. I don't know.
Well, I'm not. I'm not clear about what it is I'm supposed to teach.
Well, what is it you do know?
Well, I do know that I'm a good and powerful teacher.
A good and powerful teacher. How did you get that way?
Well, I think I brought it with me.
From where?
From wherever I came from. From former lives.
In being a good and powerful teacher, how is it that you act differently than someone who is not a good and powerful teacher?
Well, perhaps it's because I can really see the power that's inherent in the human being. And what
lesson number one.
So what I see as my mission is helping them to see that.
All right, but you have already defined lesson number one, so that's the first thing you can start teaching people. If you say you're a good and powerful teacher, then there must obviously be some difference between being a good and powerful teacher and not being one. And if there is some observable difference in what that is, then that's one of the first things you can teach people in order to be self-empowered, is how to learn what that difference is and how to act like a good and powerful teacher themselves. That's one thing you can teach.
Okay.
Now, was that so difficult? I think it is difficult for you because you are not allowing the obvious to be obvious. You are looking for some sort of complicated idea because you are used to going through the concept of structure.
Yes. That's true.
The only difficulty you are having is that this is so amazingly simple that you can't see it.
And that's right. It has no structure.
All right, then. Go with what you know. If you know what you are, a good and powerful teacher, then teach people what it is to be a good and powerful teacher by teaching them how to act like you.
All right.
That's the first step, and that's the third thing.
All right.
All right? Does
Thank
this
you.
help propel you in a direction? Or do you feel you need an even bigger push?
No. I think that does help propel me in the right direction.
Do you feel the momentum? Do you feel it as a step that you can take?
Yes.
All right.
Yes, I do.
All right. Then
Reflected the sun. He was so happy about everything, and he was like a magnet for everyone. And then he seemed to do a 180, and he became just the opposite. He became very cynical and very stiff-necked in his opinions.
all right. And how is it serving him to be this way now?
I don't know.
Why don't you ask him?
I have.
And what does he say?
He says it's my way or the highway.
My way or the highway. Meaning what?
What it means is people do things my way or they can hit the highway.
All right. When he gets to a point where he recognizes that everyone can do everything their way and still interact with other individuals, then he will recognize the reason for why he is exploring what he's exploring. The thing that he needs to be reminded of is that everyone is already as powerful as they need to be to do whatever they want without having to hurt anyone else or themselves in order to do it. And the idea is that nothing has to be compromised, but that when you allow yourself to be true to your own vision, you will attract the people that will be willing to work with you and you with them, and the people that are not of that frequency, you do not have to work with. But that you can still allow them to do what they need to do, knowing that what they're doing is every bit as valid as what you are doing. It is all equal in that sense. No one has to be forced to do anything they do not want to do. At the same time, you can recognize that when he allows everything that everyone else is doing to be equally valid to what he is doing, then he will not have to judge anything. He can simply allow himself to do what it is he needs to do and attract the people that will help him do it, recognizing that at the same time, they will be attracting him to help them do what they need to do. And that everything works perfectly together when everyone is true to themselves. But he will balance this out, most likely around his 33rd year.
Is there anything that I can do to assist him in that?
Only move ahead in your own direction and therefore reflect to him the doing of the thing that gives you joy and passion, to be a good reflection for him, to let him know he can also live his passion without difficulty, struggle, strife, or anger. There may be things that he is simply processing from his anger that he needs to feel more deeply and get in touch with his emotionality and learn his own independence so that he can balance this idea of independence later on, and therefore allow him to work with other people in a way that will not allow him to feel that he is retained by these other people in a servitude fashion.
Thank you.
For you have both come up in many lives through the idea of being fixed or held to specifically rigidized structures. And he needs to learn how to be independent from these before he can balance the loving side of himself. Love him unconditionally and do what it is you need to do to act as a perfect example. But let him learn in his own time.
Thank you.
Our love to you both.
I have one additional question.
All right.
A good friend of mine was murdered in the church last Monday, August 26th. Her name is Gail Johnson.
This is a direct stemming from a perpetuation of momentum in many lives that have to do also again with issues of servitude and lack of empowerment, and the fear that is imposed by individuals who say that only they have a direct connection to the infinite, when in fact everyone does. The build-up of these fears within her allowed her to choose this path, to reflect to her, and in a sense to actually finally release her from this cycle. For now she has created an opportunity to review all of those lies that led to this point, and to recognize that in the next choice, in the next physical incarnation, she can be free of any form of structure that would cause or generate or perpetuate or reinforce those fears that stem from lack of self-empowerment, such as the religious structures that exist upon your planet. For they are ancient in concept and stem from the removal of self-empowerment. She will learn this lesson now in the processing that she is going through in her non-physical state, and there are many guides to help her through the trauma. She will be all right.
Did she choose to leave at this time
yes,
in this way?
Yes, of course, obviously.
Is there a specific lesson that she left for us in it?
Yes. Take back your power. Do not fall under the auspices of a structure that tells you that they are the only ones who have a connection to all that is. You understand?
Yes, I do.
Thank you very much.
Sherry!
Hello, Bashar.
And good day to you.
Willie.
All right. Won't he?
Anyway, I'd like to know...
Will he, won't he? Yes.
Oh, Willie Southall. I'd like to know the simple things in our society, it seems like...
Speak up, speak up, speak up.
The simple things in our society, like people's health and pain and all these things,
yes,
are very, very simple, and yet we're not taught this as a child. So
correct,
when we get older, we tend to not know anything about this.
Yes.
I'm wondering if in the future,
yes,
soon, maybe the people will come together in the health fields rather than being fragmented.
Yes, they will. First of all, when it is understood that no one discipline has all the answers, when it is understood that the only reason disease exists is because of a resistance to the natural self, when it is understood that that tension needs to be transformed, then everyone will see the connection between the state of consciousness, the state of mind, and the state of the physical reality. And they will begin to realize, bit by bit, that it is all one and the same. your society will achieve this in time, though it will not completely transform the different disciplines for perhaps a few hundred years. But within the next half century, 30 years to 50 years, you will lay the foundation for a much more cooperative system of recognizing that different individuals are different and that different belief systems will work differently for different individuals. And therefore, it will be seen that the different disciplines will simply be different representations of different individuals' beliefs rather than any one discipline thinking that it must be the truth, the cut and dried answer. You understand?
Yes, thank you.
Does this answer your question sufficiently?
What was that?
Does it answer your question sufficiently?
Yes, thank you.
Well, thank you very much for your sharing. Next sharing.
Hello, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
A couple of years ago, excuse me, I related to you a dream about my son in which he created a box. And he did, in fact, manifest a box for himself in the manner of, he was in jail a couple times, and now he's in the CRC here in California.
CRC?
California Rehabilitation Center.
All right.
It's for people who have been on drugs or alcohol and had problems related.
All right.
And he called me the other night and he said that he needed an address to which he would be released when he gets out of the center. And I had no answer for him. I want to give him good advice now because he doesn't seem to have, I know he does. I know he has the answer inside of him, and I've told him that, but I'm sensing that he's at the point where he can take the box and he can make the doorway out of it. And I want to make sure I say the right thing.
One moment. It would be of great assistance to this individual to go through what might be called the therapeutic process of getting in touch with ancient, locked, emotional blockages. Some aspects of therapeutic hypnosis may be necessary, but it is our perception that unless this individual has some sort of a cathartic emotional release, it will be very difficult for them to break free of the patterns that they have created within their persona structure. Therefore, if you can attract yourself to the information, or if someone present this day of your time within this gathering can share with you the systems that exist upon your planet that can provide a very direct experience of cathartic emotional examination and release by getting in touch with the different events in the early life that may have caused these emotional blockages to occur, then this individual may see some progress in a positive direction. Do you understand?
Yes, I do.
Will this work for you as information?
Yes, it will.
Is there anything else you wish to discuss?
No, I don't think so. I just had him on my mind ever since he called me the other night, and I wanted to...
One moment. Was there a particular item, or shall we say object or toy, that this individual found to be a source of joy as a young child in particular?
Nothing comes to mind right now.
Something with bright color, perhaps a sunny yellow.
I'm trying to remember all the things he had. I just don't recall anything right now.
We would suggest that you find and purchase, if necessary, a bright, large, perhaps plastic, sunny yellow key and send it to him as a symbol of his ability to unlock the light within him, to keep as a memento of your unconditional love and belief in his ability to unlock from his negative patterns or cycles. At the same time, you provide the therapy opportunity that we have also suggested. He will be able to anchor his emotional release and success of breaking from the negative patterns to this key, this sunny yellow, large plastic key. And it will evoke certain childhood frequency memories that will allow him to get back in touch with the center of his strength. All right?
That's beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Next, Sharing.
Good afternoon.
And to you, good day.
This is my first visit with you.
All right. Well, please speak up and be bold so that all may share what you have to say.
Thank you. I've been on a sort of a parallel path, shifting my attention and focus into...
Parallel to what?
Two career choices. Not necessarily a career choice, but a career choice in healing that I've been pursuing, being supported by a hobby that's financially rewarding. And the hobby seems to take more time than my career choice does.
The hobby takes more time than the career choice. Which do you enjoy more?
They both give me pleasure.
They both give you joy.
Yes, they do.
They both excite you and arouse your passion.
They do.
All right. Why can they not both continue then?
Well, I think there's an inequality in the time allotment allowed.
An inequality?
Yes.
In what sense? You think you should be devoting more time to the career choice, is what you are saying?
Yes.
Why?
Because it brings more joy to my heart.
It brings more joy to your heart to do what?
Doing healing work with individuals.
More joy than the hobby, or more joy in general?
More joy in general and then the hobby.
Then why did you say that they were both equally exciting?
Well, they have different forms of excitement.
All right, but you must understand the following principle. Always the idea is to act in the direction of the thing that excites you the most, because then that will provide the overriding automatic timing that will allow anything else that excites you, whether it is connected or not, to be done in the appropriate amount of time.
I see.
You understand?
I do.
That is automatic. One sets the tune and the timing for everything else and allows you the time necessary to do everything else in the appropriate amount of time. But you must always go with the thing that excites you the most to allow it to determine the natural timing for everything else that excites you. Does that help?
It does. I think I share maybe with other people the fact that they may be doing work in an area that they are an area of ease for them, something they can do skillfully, but not necessarily with passion.
Yes.
That supports perhaps the other side of their life.
Yes.
And there's a sort of a conflict there as to
the passion is always the spearhead that will break new ground and always allow for everything else in your life that you find exciting to have time to be done. The other way around does not work.
I see.
Does this help?
It does.
Thank you very much for allowing us to reflect the clarity of your own passion.
Thank you very much.
At this timing, allow us also to reinforce for every single one of you the understanding of how important it is to be clear about your own passion. This is not just a philosophy. This is the mechanism of how your reality works in the simplest, quickest, most effortless possible way. Live your passion. Don't just see it. Don't just think about it. Don't just think it would be nice if. Live it. Act it. Be it. In all ways, shapes, and forms, act on the opportunities that attract themselves into your life that will allow you to live your passion, and more importantly than that, create the opportunities with your passion that are not there now. You are a creator. Create the opportunities. If you don't see them there, create them. It is your right. You deserve to do it. Do it. We thank you. Our unconditional love, our excitement, our passion, our dreams are with you all. Good day. How'd it go? Different things at different times. Dreams can be the processing of your daily events. Dreams can be astral experiences that you remember only piecemeal because your physical consciousness doesn't have any way to make sense of the astral experience, so therefore it renders a symbolic notation. Dreams can be visits to alternate realities, past lives, future lives, experienced as alternate selves. Dreams can be many, many, many different things. They can be communications with other astral forms. They can be periods of education in other dimensions. Many things. Many things.
Is it possible to have tangible sensory stimuli, like actual physical feeling in your dreams?
Yes.
Okay. Because I've just woken up having very realistic feelings.
Now again, that can still be the product of a translation of something that happened in non-physical terms into the best possible symbols that will represent it, thus giving you a physicalized experience analogy, or it can actually be a direct memory of a true physical experience in another alternate plane of reality, an alternate Earth, so to speak. Mm-hmm. Or perhaps a life that you have on another planet. Could be that too. Could be many things.
I was curious, because maybe having one dream and having 15 stimuli, there'll be one that I wake up having felt.
Yes. Again, it will depend upon the individual, your mood, what you're processing, the time of day. Many different factors will have to be viewed to understand the meaning and or purpose of any specific dream. But what we are discussing now are some of the generalities common to all of you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for your sharing. Sharing!
Hello, Bashar. I'm Janine.
You good day.
Thank you. The group I'm associated with, also the symbol is a triangle. I've been sober for 10 years. I don't know that I so much have a question. I was listening very closely when you began. You were talking about not turning away from the feelings of fear and just walking through it anyway.
Yes.
I feel real stuck at this time in my life. I had a wonderful life.
Yes.
To date, I feel like part of it's over, and it is. I'm 46, but I feel older than I am.
You are 6 years old.
I'm 6,
yes,
46.
Do you not say life begins at 40?
Oh, yes.
Well, in very many ways, it actually does in your species.
I believe that very much so. It feels like we're very naive people here.
Actually, only really beginning adulthood around that age in your species.
I believe that. I wanted to just say I feel real stuck.
How so?
My passion this last year was a relationship which broke off, which I don't know that, and
what is your passion
everything
now?
in my life has been wonderful. Really,
what is your passion now?
Trying to get that back.
I beg your pardon? I didn't quite hear that word.
I told you I'm stuck.
Yes. And what is your passion now?
And I don't know.
All right, thank you very much for being honest. Now, you don't want anything back. You always wish to create something new. Do you not?
True.
Something in the moment. Because you are not the you were then, so having it back will do you no good, because you wouldn't know how to use something that an old you used.
True.
What you want is something new. Now, we are not saying you cannot have relationships. We are not saying you cannot attract them, and we are not saying that they cannot be representative of your excitement. However, understand that when we generally ask your people, what is the thing that excites you the most, we mean that as you yourself, independent of having to rely on anybody else. So the first thing, from our perspective, that you need to do is examine what gives you joy for your own sake, not for your reliance on being with other people.
I'm aware of that.
All right. Is there anything at all that interests just you?
Lots of things.
Name one.
but it all runs to this quote unquote, here's a judgment on my part, the negative. I'm in despair over the planet in general. I see a lot of child abuse, animal abuse. So these are the things I'm seeing.
Yes.
The pollution,
Yes.
the endless problems, the AIDS. That's what I'm seeing at this time in my life.
And what will you do
about it? It makes me
about
very sad.
What will you do about it?
I'm working as an activist. I
And?
volunteer my time. I also work in hospitals.
Does this give you joy?
No.
Why not?
I just continue to see the negative at this time. It's new to me. This is something new, and that's why I feel
So what
stuck.
you are saying to me is that you believe you have absolutely no ability to affect this scenario.
I guess so. Feels overwhelming.
Feels overwhelming. All right. All right. You feel you make no difference. Is that correct?
I'm not sure. I
You're
don't
not
know
sure?
anything at this point
All
in
right,
my
we're
life.
taking it a step at a time. Relax. Relax. Take a deep breath. A deep one. A very deep one. Take 2 more. Slowly. Relax. Relax. Now, I'm going to ask you a question. All right?
Okay.
All right. Why do you think, just play along, why do you think you chose to be born on earth during this age?
To carry a message.
And what is that message?
Of sobriety and peace at this time in my life, I know that.
To carry a message to whom?
To others that may need
Others.
to know.
All right, that may need to hear that. Now, feel back in time. Not think back, feel back in time. When you were a soul, before this physical life, when you made the decision to carry this message in whatever way you would decide to carry it. Feel yourself as that soul. Feel the knowingness of that soul. Feel the certainty and the conviction, the knowledge of that soul. Knowing that it was the correct thing to do. That carrying that message, choosing to be born, choosing to be physical, delivering that assistance was the correct thing to do because it would make a difference. You made that assessment before you were born when you had a broader perspective, less limitations. You knew what you were doing, and you knew that the only reason you would choose to be born is if it would have an effect. Since you are physical, you can allow yourself to take it for granted that you knew what it is you desire to do would have and is having and will continue to have an effect. One person can change the world. One person does change the world with everything that you do. Perhaps what you are simply not clear on is you are not allowing yourself to see the interconnectedness of everything that you do. You are a gear. True, you may feel from time to time that you are a very small gear and that there are so many other gears to turn. But all the gears are connected. They're all intermeshed. If your gear, no matter what size, turns at all the other gears, and I mean all of them, in the entirety of existence, must turn with it. Because it's all one thing. Now, do you understand this principle?
Yes.
You are not and cannot possibly be isolated or separate from existence itself. Everything you do changes the totality of existence in some way, shape, or form. Everything you do. Everything. The smallest movement of your finger changes the totality of existence because it is one whole thing. It is not a part of existence changing and the rest of it feels no effect. All of existence changes when you change anything. And your soul knew this, and all you need to do as a physical expression of the soul is allow yourself to understand what you as a non-physical soul knew when you chose to be born, that you would have an impact, that you would have an effect, or you would not have gone through with the birth. Do you understand me?
Yes, thank you.
Is this making or allowing you to feel a little bit of an unlocking within you?
Yes.
Are you feeling your perspective broaden a little bit?
Yes, thank you.
Are you breathing a little easier?
Starting to.
All right. You have turned a key. Relax this night of your time, and as you go to sleep, open yourself up. Open yourself up to those that are there to help you. You are not doing it alone. You are not doing it alone. All right?
Thank you very much.
Pleasant dream.
And to you.
Always. I'm having a very pleasant dream right now. Next, sharing.
Hello, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
Yeah, I have a million questions. I'll start with one.
All right.
Over the last few years, I took some compounds which expanded my consciousness into realms that are paralleling everything I've been reading over the last few years.
All right.
And as soon as I had an experience, I would come across a book that would be talking about the subject that I had just experienced.
Yes, synchronicity.
Total synchronicity.
Yes.
And it really was amazing. And
That's how life works.
One of the things that I came across was the question, is all that is equal to all that is possible manifested completely, so such that every part becomes aware of itself as the infinite, putting everything everywhere all the time?
Yes, and at the same time, everything is always new. Again, the paradox. Created for the first time and yet all existing.
Now, and within that,
yes,
if everyone were all of a sudden to take a shortcut and become completely aware of the fact that everything is everywhere all the time and they've done everything possible, everything good, bad, horrible, wonderful, call it, let's say, created what I would call total alienation of everything from everything, and at the same time caused total integration of everything with everything.
Yes.
And was aware that they had done both.
Yes.
And they had done both forever.
Yes.
That they both had created existence for themselves completely, and
Yes.
at the same time has created complete non-existence for themselves by remembering that there was a time when they were not awake.
No.
No?
No. Existence is, never has been non-existent, and can never be.
Can you imagine that you didn't exist for some time?
No. Or if you did, you'd never know it, would you?
Well, you could remember that there was a time when you were unconscious.
No.
No? Now, for example, when you go to sleep, you're unconscious, and you wake up and you think, well,
But you
I
are
was
not.
unconscious.
But you are not.
You're always conscious?
You're always conscious in some way, shape, or form.
Uh-huh. Okay, now, can all that is lose its mind? Forever?
In certain expressions, yes. In others, no.
Uh-huh. So would it be correct to say that all that is not really ever going to try to create all that is possible? Because
all
it's
that
not,
is doesn't have to try. All that is already is.
But does it really want to?
That doesn't matter either. It is what it is. These issues of want and try are perspectives of your physical dimension and have nothing to do with the level you are discussing. These concepts do not, in that sense, apply to the level known as all that is. It doesn't have to want. It doesn't have to will. It doesn't have to try anything. It is everything.
It is everything. Now, one of the things that I imagined that it could be would be
that
everybody would, let's say, everybody in the whole universe,
Yes.
including the one that represents the sum total of us,
Yes.
would be sitting, let's say, having some tea in a infinite room, and all of a sudden they would all decide to forget everything.
Yes.
And start all over again.
Yes.
Has that been done?
Yes.
Isn't that kind of absurd?
Why?
Because it's silly.
Why?
Because it's not very productive.
Why?
Because it's taking everything back to the beginning and just
not correct.
Forgetting.
Not correct.
No?
No. Again, remember, it is never always the same. You are making the assumption that you're actually going back to an actual same origin point. The act of forgetting brings you into a new position to create a new, but it's never the same as it was.
Is there one that actually remembers that they've tried every way of doing it?
Yes.
And how does the person feel when he's in that state?
We will use what words are available, but we do not know if this will translate into your language. It is simply a state of complete self-awareness. Maybe what you would refer to as absolute infinite ecstasy. But again, these are very loose analogies in your language and do not relate really to the level directly.
Yeah. Now, see, the thing I have a hard trouble with is imagining that everything wonderful and horrible could be manifested. Let's put it this way. If I were put in a position of having to decide whether or not to become all that is possible, I would definitely choose not to.
All right.
Because I would figure there's a lot of realities, even though they're possible, I would prefer that myself and everyone else not get involved in creating those realities because they're just, as far as I'm concerned, pretty ugly.
Some of them are non-preferable to you. That is correct. But that is also a statement made from the point of view of the persona that you happen to be right now. And will not necessarily be a statement of the point of view of some other form of consciousness that you already are somewhere or someone else.
Yeah, so some other version of me might say, well, I want to experience complete alienation of everything from everything.
Correct. And therefore will experience that.
And can they get stuck there forever?
In a sense. But again, remember that on that level, time is meaningless. So when you say forever, it really is a meaningless thing because all is now. And the now can change into whatever it desires to change into. In one sense, therefore, you could say it is eternal, and at the same time you could say it's always anew.
Yeah.
It is, I understand, a paradox in your language, but you see, the experience that you have chosen as a physical being doesn't necessarily make it necessary to understand what you are exploring from that point of view until you get to that level. The idea is to live the life that you do understand as a physical being to the fullest. That doesn't mean you can't explore these concepts, but recognize that some of them will apply in your physical reality and some of them will not.
Yeah.
And all you really need to concern yourself with are the ones that do apply.
Right. Now, that's true. That's absolutely true. The other thing is that when I was in some of these states of consciousness, these altered states, I felt at the moment that I had a choice of leaving this dimension and going off into, say, some other more preferable dimension.
Correct.
But the problem was that I was afraid that when I got there, nobody would be there because I had put everybody here.
All right, but that is one possibility. But then it is still possible for you to recognize that you had created it and so uncreate it or create something new.
I was afraid that I would forget how to create something new.
Ultimately, you will not.
Okay. Will we all get past that point where we actually fear that?
Yes.
That we could slip back like that?
Yes. This is a direct analogy to the whole concept of how many of you fear death because you think that you will no longer exist. But once you realize that all that's really left is you, then it's all right. And then you becomes everything.
I had an experience where I did become everything in my mind.
Yes.
But as soon as I did, I had no respect for the boundaries that I had created.
All right.
Because all of a sudden I said, well, I'm the table, I'm the chair, I'm the walls, I'm everything, I'm everyone. And I said, well, now what do I do with them? Where do I put them?
Yes.
In a sense, I was inside of everything.
Correct. Everything is you.
And I felt like I could distribute my consciousness into or out of everything that there was.
Correct. But in terms of the practical reality that you chose to be focused into to accomplish certain things, it may not necessarily have a pragmatic usage for you.
No, it felt silly because I felt like I didn't really want to have that much control so that I could relate to other things as other.
There you have it.
Because I didn't want to be those things so that I could relate to them as not me.
Exactly the reason why you have a physical reality experience. Because you wish the experience of not having the control so that you can differentiate and place limitations to have certain kinds of experiences that are not possible with an unlimited being.
Right.
And therefore add, quote unquote, to the overall experience of all that is, because it is one of the ways that you can experience yourself.
And in that, what happened was I wanted to create the separation of myself from all these other things and beings in order that the responsibility of having to decide what to do next would be distributed amongst many minds rather than one group mind.
All right.
That might make a plunge into some group situation that would be
Yes.
like taking everybody with you, where you didn't really want to do that, so you create a bunch of diverse opinions, so that hopefully with all that diversity you don't get that to happen.
Understood. Now, my question for you is, with all of this experience, how do you want to apply this in your reality to serve all that is?
How do I want to apply it?
Yes. What do you want to do with your life, to put it colloquially?
Well, I'd like to learn how not to die in this body.
All right.
In this lifetime.
All right. Go right ahead.
And I'd like to figure out if there's a way to do that.
Yes, there is.
And what would be some first steps to achieve
By
that?
living completely in the moment and creating no time.
What does that mean?
It means living fully in the moment by doing what excites you at any given moment in a childlike way. And when you live in the moment, you do not create the concept called the passage of time, and therefore you do not age, and therefore you do not die. If you should decide, therefore, to transform to another level, you can simply transform and not experience death as you understand death in the physical reality now.
Right. I felt that in that state of mind, when I was in that state of mind, I felt like I could just step over the other side and I would all of a sudden have an immortal form. And I could turn it into whatever shape or substance I cared to.
Correct.
And I felt like, well, if I do that now, I have the burden of having to time travel to every dimension to convince everybody else that they too can do this.
It is not a burden, it can be your joy. But if that's not what you prefer, you don't have to do it.
Well, the thing is, I felt it would be a great joy to do that, but the problem was is that I felt that everybody that I would be traveling to would be just another version of myself, and I'd be convincing myself that I'd lost my mind.
Again, remember this. While one at the same time you are creating it all, it is still all real, and they are really there. That's what existence is. So you can say, yes, I'm convincing myself, and at the same time you can realize you really are actually performing a service for someone else, because that's what reality is, both one and all.
Now, if I became the all for a moment, while I'm being the all, do I have the right to assume that my will in that state of mind is really the will of all?
It is one and the same.
Of all the individuals.
It is one and the same. This is again another dichotomy that your physical reality has created. The assumption that your true will and what you call divine will are somehow contradictory or two separate things, and they're not. It is all one and the same.
So if I willed something for the whole group would have to agree with me.
It's not that they would have to.
Because I was them.
It is all one and the same in that sense, and they automatically simply would. Because you would be doing it if you were all that is, or acting like all that is. You would be doing it on such a level of empowered, unconditional love that it would all fall exactly as it needs to serve all of the components that you were in exactly the way that it needs to, and thus there would be no reason why they wouldn't go along with it.
Yeah. Would it seem too robotic-like that they're doing exactly what you're programmed to do?
No. That, again, is your interpretation.
Because I felt that that's what would happen.
It is not the perception that would happen if you were functioning as unconditionally loving all that is. You would not have that perspective of it. Again, that is the perspective that comes from your physical dimension.
Yeah.
And it is a fear. But that's all right. Enjoy your life.
All right. Are there any health things that I could be doing right now that would get me on the way physically to perfect the body so that it doesn't age?
How is your diet?
It's up and down.
Up and down. Up and down. Well, how do you wish to balance it?
Well, that's what I want to know.
All right.
Because, see, I felt that under the conditions that I had experienced, that food, air, and all those kinds of things are really arbitrarily assigned an effect in this dimension.
In a sense, yes, but that doesn't make them unreal.
No, it makes them real for those who are in this dimension who buy into the idea that those substances are going to have a particular effect.
Yes, correct.
But when do we actually override that agreement for ourselves as an individual?
That is up to each individual. You may not necessarily need to override it. You may find that there are certain things that you want to do, certain ways that you want to interact with other individuals in this lifetime that make it not preferable for you to override that completely.
So in other words, I could, let's say, drink a glass of wine and cause the wine to be healing, whereas if I want to take the attitude, well, tomorrow at 5 o'clock I'm going to make the wine become a little less positive.
You could do that if that in and of itself was the excitement that spurred you on. At the same time, however, you can realize on a more pragmatic level that it's just as easy to get the same effect by drinking a glass of water.
Right. Right.
And therefore there is no need necessarily to go through the machinations of attempting to make the wine, which in general belief systems does a certain thing, stop doing that thing.
Right.
If you wish to change your own reality, avail yourself of the symbols that are truly reflective of the reality you desire rather than having to buck the system so much.
Yeah, what I would like is to get all the substances to become positive.
They all are. But again, the way you begin to do that is by simply attracting to yourself the substances that already relate to you and you relate to as positive,
Right.
and starting from there.
Right, that makes sense. Yeah, I'm doing that already.
All right, well, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Enjoy your life. Yes.
There's one more person left, and it's about 5:45. Did you want me to call any more names?
No.
Okay.
Last sharing.
Shivai,
Shivai to you. Good day.
I would like to ask you a question.
Speak up and be bold so that all may hear you.
It's regarding your idea or concept of telepathy.
Telepathy, yes.
Can you please elaborate more on it?
Thank you. Again, remember that this concept that you call telepathy, this so-called mind reading, is not actually reading one another's minds. It is an empathic idea, telepathy. Everyone is a frequency. Everyone is a vibration of energy, of all that is. When you create a similar vibration to someone else, when you synchronize your vibrations, then you translate existence in a similar way to that other individual. And you translate existence into the same kind of thought patterns at the same time that the other individual is translating existence into. Seems as if you're reading each other's minds, when basically what you are doing is you are creating your reality similarly. Same time, same thoughts, same perspectives, by synchronizing your vibrations. At the same time, of course, you can recognize that all is one. So you are becoming one in that sense, merging your vibrations and thinking as one individual. This is the idea of telepathy. Synchronous, harmonious vibrations that allow you to know what another person is because you're on the same wavelength and because you are the same wavelength. Does this explain it sufficiently, or is there some other aspect of this you wish to discuss?
Yeah, further from that, assuming that, if I'm correct, that what you're saying is an explanation in a physical way,
Yes.
how would you explain it in a metaphysical way?
In a sense, that is physical and metaphysical. Metaphysically speaking, the idea of forming a strong synchronous vibration with someone else is to love them unconditionally. Love is the primary frequency of existence itself. Love is all that is. It is consciousness. It is primal, fundamental. Therefore, if you love unconditionally, you will harmonize and synchronize with any being you come in contact with, and you can know, quote unquote, their thoughts, their feelings. They will be open to you and you to them.
Is dreaming an aspect of metaphysical
In a sense,
telepathy?
in a sense, yes, because there you are very much more expanded. You do not have many of the physical limitations, and it is much easier for you to harmonize or identify or synchronize with the vibrations of another consciousness, because you are less bound by the concepts of physical limitation.
Now, questioning this, I wonder if you can question more further.
Yes.
And I'm trying to associate the idea or the concept that is behind the symbol of transcendence
Yes.
and Kundalini representations.
Yes. Transcendence and Kundalini are similar in a way. Transcendence, ascension, what that is basically referring to is similar to what was discussed with the last individual. The idea that rather than, quote-unquote, dying in the form of symbolic separation, you take the totality of your consciousness to the next level by speeding up the energy, speeding up the frequency, and simply transforming into an energy version of consciousness rather than, quote-unquote, leaving your body symbol behind. That is what transcendence is, or ascension, or the idea of Kundalini. Raising the level of the total vibration of the body projection of consciousness. Allowing yourself to become more refined, less materialized, less dense in that sense.
Further from being and feeling,
Yes.
that polarity, what is the next stage in the expression of love?
You mean beyond transcendence?
Yes. No, within transcendence.
Within transcendence, the next stage? The idea, again, as you transcend, that you recognize that you become the dimension that you previously thought you existed within. Do you understand that?
Yes.
That is the ongoing evolutionary stage. You constantly realize that you are the dimension that you previously thought you existed within. On and on and on and on and on, infinitely. Does that help you?
Yes.
Thank you very much for your sharing.
Thank you.
Our unconditional love to you. Remember that in this telepathic existence of synchronous vibration also, you dissolve the concept of space and time. And this harmonization of vibration is how we travel within the concept called our spacecraft, which is, of course, only a projection. Time, space, they are all within you. You do not have to experience them in the way you have been experiencing them now as a physical being. For some time you will experience some remnant of this idea. But you can accelerate. You can make it smooth and fast. And the easiest way to do this is to live completely in the here and now. Be inspired like a child. Be in love like a child. Be free like a child. For you all are children of the infinite, and always shall be, even as are we and all beings within the all that is, which itself is also always a child. Our unconditioned